Hello and welcome to News Center. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Over 9,500 Congress delegates cast their votes yesterday to elect the party's first non-Gandhi chief in over 2 decades. President Sonia Gandhi would be passing on the mantle to either Mallikarjun Kharge or Shashi Tharoor. The election, which saw a 96% turnout, comes at a time when the grand old party's political fortunes are on the ebb. After unsatisfactory performances in multiple state elections over the years, its Lok Sabha tally currently is just at over 50. Currently, the party is running the government in only 2 states, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. On the brighter side, the party holding organizational elections to elect its chief is a rarity in India and hence a welcome sign. To talk on that and much more, we are now joined by Karti Chidambaram, the Congress lawmaker from Shivaganga. He had shown his support for Shashi Tharoor in the party's presidential campaign. Mr. Karti Chidambaram, you have been backing Shashi Tharoor in this campaign. You have also said that Congress needs a reform movement, does not need status quo. Do you think Shashi Tharoor is a symbol of that reform that Congress needs?
Just the office of the Congress president is not responsible for everything which happens in in our political party. Reform has to happen at multiple levels. But it's a welcome step that we are having elections for the Congress party's president. But what needs to be done has been well enunciated in our resolutions at the Chintan Shivir in Udaipur. So whoever is the Congress president, they have to implement what's been resolved at Udaipur. That's when we will truly have wholesale reform and effective reform within the party.
Right. Looking at the electoral performances of the Congress party in recent elections, both in the Lok Sabha and the state elections, what kind of urgent measures does the Congress need to take from the ground level upwards?
See, we need to strengthen our organization nationally. While we are strong in certain states, in certain other states, our ground level organization is not strong enough. And we need to do that. And then we also need to sharpen our message, particularly to the Hindi heartland, to counter the Hindi Hindutva narrative of the BJP and bring focus to the failings of the BJP. We need to communicate more. But for our communication to be effective, we need to have a ground game. And to have a ground game, you need to have an organization which can carry the message forward. For example, the Bharat Jodo Yatra is a huge success in Kerala and Karnataka because we have the organization there to support such an initiative of the Congress party. I mean, compared to Tamil Nadu, while it was good in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka are greater successes. It's merely because of the organization they have at the KPCC that is in Karnataka as well as in the Kerala Congress Committee. So those are the kind of reforms which we need to carry forward and strengthen the organization in the states where we think our organization is not strong enough.
Right. Now, coming to the election result, by and large, there is a perception that the weight of the Gandhi family is behind Mallikarjun Kharge, and he is someone who is likely to get the support of a bulk of the voters in this election. You have tweeted to say that the result will be a pleasant surprise. Why do you feel so?
See, first and foremost, you are perpetuating a false propaganda by stating that the Gandhi family is behind a particular candidate. They have categorically stated they are neutral in this election. Both the candidates who put forward themselves for the post of the Congress president are worthy candidates. And the party delegates are free to choose any one of them. And they would be happy to work with anyone who gets elected. That has been the position of Mrs. Gandhi, the current Congress president. That's the position of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, the former Congress president. That's the position of Mrs. Priyanka Gandhi, who is the general secretary of the party. If there are some entrenched forces which have been perpetuating this false impression that the Gandhis are preferring one candidate, the media like you are also equally guilty of repeating it again and again. There has never ever been a direct communication or any kind of signal from the Gandhis that they prefer any one candidate over another. So that is completely erroneous. As far as I am concerned and as far as the communication from them and all their pronouncements, they have made it abundantly clear that they are absolutely neutral and would prefer any one of the two candidates who I believe both are eminently qualified to be Congress president. As far as the election results are concerned, we have to wait till tomorrow. Why be in a hurry? We have to count the votes. After all, we have to only count 9,500 votes. Let's count the votes and we'll know the result. Yes, there is a perception that because the the establishment, which I don't really think was true, is behind a particular candidate will win. But all I can say is that the campaign of Dr. Shashi Tharoor had a lot of resonance within the party delegates, within the party, and as well as with the general public. And I'm sure the votes he's going to poll tomorrow is going to be a pleasant surprise for everybody.
Right. As you campaign for Shashi Tharoor with Congress workers across the country, why do you think he is the man that the Congress needs today versus Mallikarjun Kharge, both of whom you've said are strong leaders, are veteran Congress leaders, have their own plus points, but why Shashi Tharoor over Mallikarjun Kharge?
See, while my preference is with Dr. Shashi Tharoor, it in no way diminishes the stature or the credibility of Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. Let me make that very, very clear. Why I prefer Dr. Tharoor is this. He is first of all a very articulate speaker in Parliament. He is very sharp in his arguments, and he is very erudite, and he is a prolific writer. So his opinions, his views are always noticed by everybody. Most importantly, he's got a huge following outside the political firmament of this country, which I think is very essential for a leader now to attract people who are not normally committed to a political party, to start viewing the political party and start taking that noticing what that political party does, and only such a leader can attract this population, which is not our traditional voter, to come to us. I have noticed this because I've worked with Dr. Tharoor very closely for nearly 3.5 years. I know that for a fact that aspirational India looks up to him because he's an erudite man. Whatever he has achieved, he's achieved due to his own academic credentials and through his hard work. So India, aspiring India, particularly parents who have young children, really look forward to their children sort of emulating his academic success. I've noticed this every time I've traveled with him, where mothers would always bring young children to take selfies with him because they want their children they see him as a role model, particularly as an academic role model. I think aspirational India looks forward to him. There is a huge audience, there's a huge social media audience. There is also another big audience outside normal party politics which admires and follows Dr. Shashi Tharoor. And so if Shashi Tharoor becomes the Congress party president, I think more people will notice us. More people will not notice us and also take the Congress party's views a little bit more seriously, and we'll be able to attract a section of the population which normally doesn't follow or support us.
Right. Mr. Tharoor, to also ask you, within the Congress, which is the section which would prefer Shashi Tharoor? Because we saw members of the so-called G23, Manish Tiwari, Prithviraj Chavan, going ahead and supporting Mallikarjun Kharge in this election. We also saw Ashok Gehlot, the Rajasthan Chief Minister, going ahead and supporting him. So who are the leaders that Shashi Tharoor would appeal to within the Congress?
See, yesterday I was there at Satyamurthy Bhavan, which is the headquarters of the Tamil Nadu Congress Committee in Chennai, for the entire polling process. I was there at 10 a.m. and I only left when the boxes were sealed. And I know for a fact that the support for Shashi Tharoor came from the committed Congress delegate who normally doesn't aspire to be an MP or MLA. The people who normally do not seek tickets. You see, a very small percentage of the Congress party actually seeks tickets in elections. The section which does not seek tickets, but who's committed to the party because of ideological reasons, who wants to see the party rejuvenated and become a force within India, that is the section of people who came and voted for Dr. Shashi Tharoor yesterday in Chennai.
Right. Also, considering that there have been divisions within the Congress party, the G23 on one side, the young leaders on the other, there were many questions in minds of leaders within the Congress about the party's future, their own prospects as well. Do you think whoever becomes the next president of the Congress party will have to be handling those divisions very carefully? Do you think there is a possibility that the party may face a split?
There is no, I do not see any split within the Congress party. The Congress party will be united under a new president tomorrow as it is united today. Of course, we need to improve ourselves. There will be different divergence of views on what kind of reform should be done and what pace it should be done. I mean, collective leadership will take into account all the views and will come to some sort of consensus. So there is no real division. And let me be very clear, the Congress party is here to stay. We consistently score close to 20% of the national vote. It's only a matter of time before we get our act together and our vote share goes up to 30, another 5 or 10 more percent. And then we'll become exceedingly viable in terms of winning elections. So winning will be the greatest tonic for the Congress party. And I think in the upcoming state elections, based on how we perform, I know for certain that we are going to win in Karnataka. Things will start rolling into place. And there can be no political formation in India against the BJP sans the Congress. See, all these one-party states trying to form an alliance is going to be meaningless until the Congress is the fulcrum and the centrality of that kind of an alliance. So the Congress is an inevitable political force in India and will continue to be an inevitable political force in the years to come as well.
Right. And my final question, when we talk about the 2024 general election, how should the party prepare now? We have seen elections becoming a presidential, almost a presidential form of election, a personality contest. What should be the roadmap for the Congress for the next general election?
I think the Chintan Shivir resolutions will strengthen the party organizationally. I think we need to take forward organizational reform. And next, what we need to do is to have a broad understanding with all parties which are opposed to the BJP ideologically, and to put together that formation from now on, so that that formation sort of takes shape and is ready for the general election in 2024. And I think once we put together, once we strengthen our organization, sharpen our message, as well as put together a broad coalition, I think we have a fight in our hands in 2024.
Right. And one final tweet of Shashi Tharoor, if I can ask you about, he told PTI, this was not his own tweet, but he told the PTI, the Press Trust of India, that I don't mind batting on a pitch with uneven bounce, but there should be no pitch tampering. So is there a view that somehow these election results may already be pre-decided? What was he hinting towards?
No, I am not questioning the election results which are going to come out tomorrow, or the polling process, because I was witness to the polling process in Tamil Nadu and it was absolutely fair. There is no problem on that. But the point is, the entrenched forces within the political party, the establishment, did not treat both the candidates equally. That is a known fact, and that was seen even in Tamil Nadu. In that way, Dr. Tharoor is correct by saying that he is batting on an uneven pitch. And I think, the people who are holding office in the various states should have acted even-handedly in dealing with both the contenders, who are both, after all, members of our party, and both have served the party for many years. One perhaps a little longer than the other, but both are assets to the party, and they should have treated both of them with the same courtesy and the same dignity, which I thought was a little lacking in some places, which I think was unfair.
Right. So you felt that Mallikarjun Kharge had an edge in the campaign and the way the party was supporting him throughout the country?
No, I'm not sure he had an edge in the campaign. He had an edge in the reception accorded to him from the establishment in the states. That is all.
All right. Thank you, Karthi Chidambaram, for your time. Let's see what the election result for the Congress president's position has to say tomorrow. We're going to take a short break here on News Center. Up next, we shift our focus to the ongoing tech battle between the two superpowers. The Biden administration has imposed a ban on export of high-end chips made with US technology or personnel to China. Does India stand to gain? What will this do to the already stressed semiconductor supply chain? We will be joined by Vivek Tyagi of India Electronics and Semiconductor Association on the other side. The United States has stepped up its attack on the Chinese chip sector. It has banned exports of high-end chips manufactured with the use of American technology or personnel to China. The Biden administration maintains that the move is in sync with their national security interests, claims that China is using high-end chips for boosting its military systems. China has denounced the ban as arbitrary and warned of supply chain disruptions. Indian chip manufacturers fear that the move could cause some disruption in the short term, but would benefit the sector in the long run. We're now joined by Vivek Tyagi, Chairman of Indian Electronics and Semiconductors Association. Mr. Tyagi, thank you for joining us. Give us a sense of how the Indian electronics industry could be impacted by these US export controls.
Parikshit, thanks for having me here. Yes, in short term, it could have some headwinds for India as well, because a lot of global companies that are supplying high performance computing equipments to India market, and if they're manufacturing those products in India, it could definitely hamper their manufacturing in the short term. till they figure out an alternate location for manufacturing those high performance computing equipments. So in short term, definitely it could have some impact on India getting those high-end servers, whether it's for data center, whether it's for high performance computing applications.
Right. I would also like to ask you, what are the components that we get from China for which segments of the electronics industry that are now likely to be impacted?
So, Parikshit, if you look at as a big picture, we import a lot of electronics from China and around the world. In fact, surprising fact to me was that when I looked at RBI's import data for last year, after oil import, it is maximum number of dollar that we spent was in importing electronic systems, and gold was at number 3 for last year. So whether it's consumer electronics, smartphones, whether it's servers, artificial intelligence based machines, a lot of it comes from China. But due to thanks to government of India's PLI production linked incentive schemes, a lot of things like smartphones and home appliances and IT products shortly are starting to get manufactured here. But we are still not manufacturing these high performance computing servers that are used in data center, and some of them could be coming from China. And those kind of things which are high performance computing equipment, those are the ones which are restricted now. In terms of semiconductor, all the chips, cutting edge chips, which are made in 16 nanometer and below technology, and especially for AI application, for example, either processors or graphics processor, GPU and CPU, as they are known as, those are restricted as per this, and that will have some impact. It will have majority of impact on China, but it will certainly have some impact on India and other nations who are importing these equipments for these countries.
Right. So do these latest export controls by the US Department of Commerce directly impact a country which is importing semiconductors, or maybe an electronic unit which has semiconductors from China? Do you think anybody who is doing so will have to stop and will have to look for alternatives?
No, Pariksha, this ban is only on, by US companies exporting these products to China per se. So these are components. So if some global companies assembling their equipments inside China and thereby they have to import it into China to assemble their products, it only impacts that. Now, if that company tomorrow decides to move their manufacturing of these high performance computing equipments outside China, whether it's to India or any other nation, then this ban does not impact. So, coming to a long term view, in long term, it's positive for our country, for India, because now many global companies who were doing manufacturing traditionally in China may be looking at alternate locations, and India could pitch as one of the alternate locations for them.
Right. Now, just to understand, because these restrictions are very, very sweeping, Mr. Tyagi, they say that any country or company for that matter, if it is exporting goods which have semiconductors either made in the US or made using US manufacturing equipment or by US personnel or US citizens, that would put the country in, or the company in, an entity list. Those kind of goods cannot be exported to China. So how does this affect the global ecosystem, and what percentage of global electronic production or semiconductor manufacturing could be impacted as a result?
Yeah. So, Parikshit, first of all, 40% of the global electronic equipments are manufactured in China today. But remember, this ban is not limited to, it's only limited to high performance computing equipments, which are mainly used for artificial intelligence type of application. If you look at semiconductors, 40% of the world semiconductor are manufactured by TSMC or overall by Taiwan as a country. So in that sense, this ban also, is affecting countries like Taiwan and Korea that are producing a lot of cutting edge semiconductor, but they are using equipments supplied by American fab equipment companies, and those names are also in the public domain now. So it does have some bearing on these countries to export chips manufactured in Korea and Taiwan over to China. But in the same way, if you look at India, we are not today manufacturing semiconductor or exporting from here to any part of the world. So in that sense, it does not impact us for any exports or any manufacturing that India is doing today.
Right. We've run out of time, but Mr. Tyagi, thank you very much for joining us, giving us your sense of how these US export controls and semiconductor exports to China will impact India in the short term. Moving on from the chip sector to the 5G drive in India. Vivo, the third largest phone maker in India by market share, has announced a rollout of over-the-air updates by end of October or early November. Rakesh Tamrakar, Vivo's 5G standard expert, told Ashmit Kumar that prices of 5G devices will be more than 4G devices, in the beginning at least. However, with economics of scale, costs would start falling in the long term. Take a look.
Right now, all these smartphones we have in India supports NSA, and then there are few smartphones already supports SA. SA mode of operation, and then furthermore, we are we will be updating this OTA update gradually. I believe it will happen probably by end of October or early November. So basically, we are preparing to support both the operators in India, which are one is choosing the NSA mode and another is choosing SA mode. So basically, we are collaborating with both operators closely.
But just for an apple-to-apple comparison, Mr. Tamrakar, a 4G device and then subsequently the related 5G device, a 5G-enabled device, would there be a cost arbitrage? Will there be higher costs involved in terms of simply Vivo's cost of manufacturing these 5G devices?
On this, the pricing regard of pricing. So as we move on to this new technology, 5G, so intuitively, it will be costlier compared to 4G, right? So, but on the other hand, when this economic of scale, also when the volume increases, then price will definitely go down as we have we develop or deploy our products in India.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. News continues on CNBC TV 18. Stay tuned.